as well. You can gain points along the way for use towards some rewards. So definitely sign up if you haven't already. It's a great resource that is available to you as a customer. So the topic for today is the preview of Release 55, which was released yesterday evening. So just for a quick context on the Power Hours, they're really intended to share information with all of our Allocadia users to help you get the most value out of the system. So they're normally delivered by customer success, and they include training, best practices, special topics, as well as release updates. So that's the focus of today, and we're hijacking their Power Hour on the product team to just do this with you today. So my name is Catherine Barry. I'm the Chief Product Officer and co-founder. That's me on the left. And co-presenting with Ash Dezieri, who's our product manager. We also have Bob Sampson, who is our UX person on the product team, also joining today to get some feedback and answer some of the questions that come in. Throughout this Power Hour, if you do have questions, you can type them into the questions panel or the chat panel, and Ash and Bob will do their best to answer them throughout, and if not, we'll do them at the end of the QA session. So the specific agenda today is really to take a closer look at our release. And the largest feature in this release is called Outbound Action. So this is a really big milestone as well in this release, in addition to being mobile accessible. Another foundational item in this release is that we have a new organization setting, as well as the first feature that's available under that. We'll also cover some smaller enhancements around searching activities, home tab calculations, and audit trail availability. As well, we'll also give you a sneak preview of some of the upcoming features that we're working on, which include some very exciting things. So we'll get some input from all of you, and we'll supply some resources where you can find information moving forward, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the very end as well. So let's start with the outbound actions. This feature was really driven by customers. So since Allocadia is the source of the plan, it's often the starting point in the marketing life cycle. So what customers needed was the ability to push out data in Allocadia in real time to kick off some of their key processes and downstream systems. So just to note today, customers do use our API for this, but it's more of a batch process. So this feature really allows that data to be pushed out in a triggered fashion by end users in real time. So some of the workflow examples include creating a PR in a PR system, a campaign in an automation system, or a project in a project management system. And this feature fits under what we call our openness product theme. And this theme is really all about playing friendly with the other systems that are part of your marketing technology ecosystem. It's also a reflection of the fact that we're typically part of that best-of-breed approach. So we absolutely do need to connect into other systems to provide that end-to-end solution for customers. These outbound actions will also complement our current inbound connectors, which include connectors for ERP, CRM, automation, and social. And for our first version of the outbound actions, what you can do is send out data via email or web form. So these are really two general purpose ways of sending out the data from the system. And ultimately today, that will require still some work on the customer side. So IT teams can leverage that data that is sent via the email or the web form and use some code or use utilities, or if you have an existing ETL tool, for example, that can be leveraged to then translate that information and push that into those other systems. Moving forward in the future, really our goal is to allow our customer success team to enable this for you and to provide this as a service. So in the future, this will take the shape of potentially just more direct outbound actions to specific systems, and also us internally leveraging an ETL tool to be able to quickly and easily configure these for you, assuming that that's desirable and acceptable from your IT standpoint. We'd love to hear your specific use cases on outbound actions, so when we do put our contact information in, please reach out to us and let us know. So we are happy to announce a bigger milestone, which is that we're officially mobile accessible. As many of you know, we've had a large project to migrate our front end from Flex to HTML. And in our previous release, we did the core of our application, which was our HTML budget grid. So we hope all of you have been enjoying that user experience in HTML. We know internally we have been very much so. And we do love to hear your feedback, so definitely let us know. And in this release, what we've done is we've officially switched from a Flex app that housed some HTML to an HTML app that now houses some Flex. So what this means is that ultimately now all our users can log in to our application on mobile devices, like, for example, iPads. And please note, though, we are in beta for this, so the supported use cases to start are just viewing the budget and analytics tab currently today. And as we move forward, we will be prioritizing some optimized mobile experiences in our next releases. So again, we'd also love to hear from you what's important from you from a mobile perspective in terms of use cases and what you'd like to accomplish on mobile devices. So also let us know during the Q&A or after the session. So this is also another foundational item and another milestone in our application, which is to have new organization settings. So this will set the stage for some exciting future features, including things like global user management, configurable roles, a branded header, and more. And typically we've had settings that just relate to your overall budget hierarchy, but now we have settings now that relate to your company year over year. And the first available feature in this area is single sign-on. And in order to enable SSO, you have to be made an organization admin. So today, you do need to contact support for us to enable that for you, and we can turn that on. Once that's turned on, there's an easy way now for your IT teams, your more technical teams, to enable that SSO for your organization. Today we support the SAML 2 protocol, and here again, please let us know if there's another protocol that you'd like us to support for your organization. Please let us know, but this is a very standard protocol that's utilized by a large number of organizations. Now we move on to some of the smaller enhancements, and every release we include some small win items, which are essentially low effort and high impact items. And most often we get these items from customer requests. So with the new HTML budget tab, we were able to do some Control F on the browser to find items. However, with really large budgets, we had implemented what we called this incremental loading. So that was related to performance implications, just to have the budget load in a bit more of a snappier way. And in this regard, Control F was not feasible. It would also be more difficult to find it if your folders were collapsed, for example. So now this new search, it allows you to search all activities regardless of loading, and it also filters the list so that you can easily see the item. In addition, you can also search by ID, which makes finding POs and actuals more easy if you're investigating certain items. And that is, of course, assuming you're using your ID or our ID in your integrations. So hopefully this quick win item will really help you to quickly update items, to answer any questions, and to also facilitate any investigations. And another enhancement here in terms of smaller enhancement is really to enable Home tab panel calculations. And prior to this release, any totals for the Home tab panel were really only available under reporting. So now you can easily configure that to be added to the roll-up panel and see your totals instantly here on the Home tab. Specifically, that normally relates to your top-down target or budget data that's inputted into the system. As well, the audit trail is available for editors now in this release. In prior versions, this was only available to administrators in order to view that full audit trail, but we've had requests and interest to view that across the board in terms of that visibility as to anything that's changed. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the audit trail, it's a detailed activity log of every action taken in the application. You can access it from the Home tab, roll-up panel, all the way down to the detailed line item level panel. you can search, filter, and export all of your data. So that concludes the updates for our latest release. And again, please let us know any feedback or questions at any time now or later after the call. Now let's jump into what's coming up. We're moving quite quickly here through the presentation as well. So depending on time, we might be able to also go into the application and show some of these areas. So just keep that in mind, but please post any questions. We do have time to answer them here today. So in terms of what's coming up in future releases, we have some really exciting features that we're working on. And with the bulk of our Flex to HTML work complete, we now have more resources available to put towards some of these features. So we do have a lot of different things in the works. And I'll provide a high-level summary for each of these, and we'd love to hear if you're interested, if these features are relevant for you, and if you're interested in being a beta customer to test out some of our prototypes, we'd love that feedback and that potential for you to give that one-on-one feedback and to help shape what that feature looks like. So let's talk about first the alignment module. So this one's a really exciting feature that really expands our strategic planning capabilities in the system. And specifically on our path to performance, it expands the investment target area. So for every feature that we do, it really fits into overall our path to performance. And this is a map that we use for customers to help with implementation. It's our longer-term customer success plans. As well as you can tell, a little bit of a product roadmap as well. So this feature will allow an interactive and visual way of setting strategic targets. It also allows your team to know how aligned they are as they build out their bottoms-up plan. So for customers that follow the Serious Decisions framework, this is very much going to be able to be leveraged as it relates to setting your strategic targets by program family or by campaign theme, for example. And we also have other customers, as an example, who would set strategic targets by product or by segment or any other dimension that is important to them as a go-to-market initiative. And in this feature, you'll be able to quickly input those percentage allocations or the number allocations using your sliders, and the end users will also be able to see when they build their bottoms-up plan in the planning phase, where are they in terms of being aligned to those strategic targets. They can also view the little widget according to the actual, so in their tracking phase, they can see how aligned they are, as well as related to the forecast. And it's important to note that today we can accomplish this. It's just that we do a data load to the BI tool, or we do a certain piece of the hierarchy in a separate place. So this just allows a more quick way, more visual way to do this, and more real-time feedback for the end users as they build their bottoms-up plan. So let's talk now about what we call the Revenue Impact module, which is also an exciting new feature. This one also extends our strategic planning capabilities, and specifically it expands our planned results and ROI on the path to performance. And this feature will also overall help marketers to understand their impact on revenue as they build their bottoms-up plan. So a common theme here is really about helping marketers as they're planning to give them that real-time feedback around their plan. So how am I aligning to strategic targets? Now, how is my plan going to be impacting my revenue in my organization? So as they build their bottoms-up plan, marketers today also input what they expect in terms of output from their plan. And then we automatically calculate their estimated revenue. We use a set of data assumptions that are also going to be inputted into the tool, including funnel stages, velocities, and average deal sizes to feed this overall engine. And just to note, the UI very well will look different to this. This is just our V1 to get things started, to get the idea out there. We follow an agile, iterative process, but we will be doing work on this and testing a lot. We actually use our internal marketing team heavily as well as a user of our software to validate things in our prototypes, as well as a lot of customers as well. So if you are interested in helping us to build this feature, we would love your help. The other related area of this functionality is also what we call, it's more enhanced scenario planning to facilitate the what if type of questions. So for example, if the organization were to cut a portion of the budget by 10% or to increase the budget by 10%, how would that then cascade down to the impact of revenue? Or what if we removed a particular activity as part of our plan? Again, how would that affect all of our totals and cascade down to the impacted revenue? And same as how our investment hierarchy works versus your target, here you'll be able to see what is my overall revenue target versus my left to generate. So what's my delta in terms of what I've generated in my target. And if your specific team doesn't have an exact target, it would be what is my % contribution to our overall revenue target. Let's now go into another new feature, which is activity level approvals. This one has been on the map for a little while, and it's now time for us to really do this one in terms of handling all the approvals on our side prior to sending data to downstream systems. So this really relates also to our outbound actions functionality and will be connected to that. The idea is that an outbound action would not be able to be initiated until an approval is done. So a specific example of that is a PR would not be able to be created in a PR system prior to the approval taking place. This feature allows us to serve the needs of new organizations that have more strict operating environments and who may likely already also be on an existing system for budgeting and planning. And so today, with the ability to lock down our plans via the locking functionality, we are serving the needs of our customers around approvals. Having said that, if you do think you'd like to leverage this, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And something to note as well, this line item detailed level approvals can be set up at the team level. So if you did want to pilot it, for example, for a particular team, we could add it just at that level. But we'd also love you to help to shape this functionality and to give us some insight into this workflow so that we can satisfy as many use cases as possible. The next one that we're working on is called budget transfers and adjustments, and this one is really in high demand by many of our existing customers. And this feature will enable your marketing organization to submit requests for budget transfers as well as adjustments. And these will flow through an approval queue as well, and will automate all of these budget changes. So any of the transfers, any of the adjustments will be automatically populated inside of the system as well. And typically today, the budget data or the target data resides on our Home tab roll-up panel. So that will facilitate the movement of dollars between there throughout the organization. And as well, there will be a full audit trail available for all of these transfers as well. And the approval process here will also be leveraged in terms of our tab activity level approvals, meaning that a lot of the same workflows will apply here. So we'll have a consistent experience as it relates to approval workflows for submitting things from your planning phase to your pending, approved, declined, canceled. All of those concepts will also apply to this window here in terms of budget transfers and adjustments. And today, a lot of our customers are accomplishing this via email or SharePoint sites or different ways external to the system. So our goal is really to get this process inside of the system as well to help manage this process and streamline it and reduce error as well as speed efficiencies around this. And the final one to preview here is around the smart pick list. So this one has, we're also currently working on, and it's more control really for your form input in terms of how they're inputted by the end user. So this will really help with data consistency and integrity. And essentially it allows you to limit the choices available to user based on a previous selection. And today we can still help with this workflow by formatting your drop-downs in a particular way, but this will be more of a streamlined and enforceable way for end users. And our customer success team is aware of that current setup so that we can easily roll you over when this dependent pick list functionality is available. So definitely speak with your team there if you need to use this and just want to be aware and ready for that feature when it comes out. And that concludes the summary of the current release and the upcoming features. I'm just going to post here some of the resources for a couple minutes while we just go through a couple questions. And then because we do have a bit of time here, we'll jump into the application. I'll highlight a couple of these areas that we just spoke about. So for resources, we of course have our support portal. That's your centralized one-stop shop for all things support. You can find your help articles, tutorials, videos, also a summary of the release notes. We also have our blog, and that also includes release announcements, product updates, thought leadership, and as I mentioned, our A-Team community. So please join that too. It's a fun way to get engaged and to also learn best practices and how other customers are using our software, and to also get some fun rewards in the process. So for Q&A, we do have a couple questions here that I can get answered. So as usual, I know one of the main questions when we talk about upcoming features is timeframes. So I will speak a little bit high level to the timeframes for these. So all the features I just spoke to are features that are in the works today. And these will be coming out over the next calendar year, 2015, Q1 and Q2. So we will update and give some previews as we commit those timelines. But we are still an agile organization, and priorities can change, but we like to keep that flexibility still and that balance still between communicating back and that flexibility. But they are all in the short to medium term roadmap items. And another one here related to outbound actions. Can it support creating a campaign in Salesforce? And the short answer to that is yes. And we do have an example working, and also a customer currently implementing against this, which is to push campaigns to Salesforce, as well as Salesforce is, in this example, the system of record for their PR creation as well. So it's actually doing two actions to Salesforce. And as an example, Salesforce does support a URL post or a web form post from within Salesforce. So in that instance, you could use the web form to populate all of the campaign creation fields and then submit that campaign. And just to note, for outbound actions, you can have different required fields for within your system as different to what the users input in terms of their bottoms-up plan and Allocadia as being required. So different fields would be required to push to Salesforce, and then it would create that campaign. And just to note again on the outbound actions, in terms of specific systems and how outbound actions work, we do have general purpose ways of pushing that data out today, so web form and email. If your system supports a URL post or a web form post, then that can be leveraged to directly push to that form, and then that form can execute another action. But also moving forward, this is just the beginning and the base for our outbound actions. We'll be building out that to have more direct outbound actions to specific systems, and we'll also likely be leveraging our own ETL tool in order to be able to push these actions to an ETL job, which then does another action. And leveraging an ETL platform will really allow our customer success team to do those connections for you quickly and easily to whatever system and any number of systems in your marketing and finance technology ecosystem. And another question we have is around the activity search. So there's just a question if it's possible to search the details panel fields. And we can jump into the application, and I will show you that you are able to do that by first grouping by. So I'll just jump in here. And so if you do, so I'll first show you where you can do the search. So it's under the filter because it does filter the list of activities. So as an example here, I can see that I had an item here that said keynote. So let's do that search. And now I can see the item along with its parent folder, so you can see the context of that item within your list. So that allows a quick filtering of your activities. And if you did want to search for any of your details panel fields, then I can also, here, see if you see program family, we can also do a pivot here, and then you can do a search by a given details panel field, for example. So that will isolate all of those activities for that details panel, or you could also search for any of the other activity details in this view. And I just have another question here around the revenue impact model. So if we could explain a little bit more about how that works. And so maybe the best way to share that is to share an existing customer, what they are doing with us today in this specific regard as well. So this is a large high-tech organization with over 400 users in the application. And what they are doing is on the details panel today, they have a field here which is a number of impressions. So it could be any top of the funnel type of metric. So here in our demo account, we have your estimated marketing qualified leads. And every end user in any of the activities that relate to demand creation, they're inputting what they expect to get in terms of that one top of the funnel metric. So it keeps it very simple for all of the end users in order to capture their output from that activity. And then within the analytics, what we've done is load a few key data points. We've loaded their funnel stages and conversion rates, as well as their average deal size. And they have a weighted or drill down view of both. So their funnel conversion rates by tactic type vary. So a demand generation webinar event converts at a higher rate than a trade show, for example. So depending on what tactic type they've tagged here, it picks up which conversion rates are going to apply to these this top of the funnel metric. And then further to that, we've also inputted average deal sizes that are weighted or a drill down version. So they have different average deal sizes per region and per business unit. So it will pick up what region that this budget owner is in, as well as what BU, and the BU is tagged on the details panel. So now we have all the data we need to, inside of the analytics, do a view of the planned ROI. So we can take all of those leads, multiply them by your funnel conversion rate, multiplied by your average deal size, and then you have an estimated view of your revenue. So the idea here is really to enable that view of being revenue driven. So what activities am I doing? What is the output? What does that mean in terms of revenue impact? And then in the planning stage, you can see versus our investment plan, what is our planned ROI by region or by team? And then you can also see, for example, your planned ROI by objective. You can also see a view of your funnel, your planned funnel at every stage that you've inputted. So this new feature, what it does is really just allow you, and I'll just switch to the screenshots of it here, is really to enable that view of the end user to put in their marketing qualified leads, but also to see alongside in real time that revenue. And then also for operations folks or team leads to input those assumptions directly in the tool. And so just to be clear, today we can accomplish this, but a lot of the output or all of the output is managed within the analytics, and all of the views are there. So this feature is really about real-time view and allowing that manageability of the data and inputting that yourself into the application or with the help of our customer success team upon implementation. And I think I'll just double check here to see if there are any other questions. While we're just waiting for those questions here, I'm just taking a look at them. We'll just go in to show you a couple of the areas that we talked about. So at the very top here, this is where the organization settings will be housed. So again, that has to be enabled by our support team to allow a particular user in your organization to be the organizational admin. And as we move forward, this area will house other things like centralized user management, configurable roles, and so eventually you will be able to configure that organizational admin within here as part of your user management. So this is where your IT or technical resources can set up SSO directly here and get that going. We also do have, by the way, a small change in terms of our UI and the header here, just making things more concise and allowing us to grow this area here. We have a link now to the new features, so you can easily reference that, as well as your profile and support links are all housed under a centralized menu up at the top here. The outbound actions are accessible under the master settings, so I will just click to the master settings area here and to the sub-tab called Actions. And here you can see also a slightly revised layout. We can thank Bob for all the nice tweaks to the UI as we continue to give some attention to the user experience and investing in that area. So here under New Action, this is where you can configure the URL or the email. So as an example here, we have the email or the URL piece that we can add here. And I won't click through here in this account. It's not enabled for me here. So as a general rule of thumb here, it's very easy to configure in terms of inputting what attributes you want to pull. So it's just a simple copy-paste of your attributes into your email window or into your form, and then checking if the fields are required or not, and then enabling that action when you're ready to go. And then I'll also just highlight the calculations on the details panel. So in order to add, on the Home tab details panel, in order to add a new calculation, you will just see now when you specify a calculation or formula type, when you go to location, it will allow you to select roll-up. So you would just select the calculation, select the roll-up location, and add column. And I've just done that prior to this webinar, so I'll just go back to the Home tab and show you the one created. So on the panel here, I'll open that up. And we can see here the fiscal year target calculation of your Q1 to your Q4 target showing here. And while we're here, for those editors who aren't familiar with the audit trail, this is where you can access the top-level audit trail. So if I'm at the North America level and I've opened the panel, I will see all the actions related to the North America budget. And you can see here some of the actions taken in the recent past. You can also filter to a particular user, to a particular area, and a particular action. You can search, and this will prompt you with these filters to filter your list and then also to export. Just to note with the audit trail, if you do access it at the very top here, it will show everything in your entire hierarchy from the top level here all the way down to your budget line item detailed level. And we'll just click into the budget to show you the granular level of the audit trail. So you can also access it by opening the same panel on a detailed level item and go to the right here under audit trail. And then this will show all changes specific to that line item. So same thing for your subcategories and categories. If you want to see changes that relate to that, you can go through there in that module. And I think now that summarizes the view of everything within the application. I'm just going to check if there are any other questions. If so, please type them in the chat or the questions window. And I think here we can probably conclude. We'll be concluding a little bit early. Definitely, if there are any feedback or afterthoughts that you have in terms of questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. And I'll just put up our contact information here. So it's first name dot last name at allocadia.com in terms of reaching us. And like we mentioned, for some of those upcoming product features, we'd love to have your input in beta testing the prototype. So please reach out for that. We'd love to hear from you. And also Bob, I know, loves to hear everything UI, UX related, so in terms of the experience, any feedback, the look and feel, also the click-through path. Bob is bob.sampson@allocadia.com. And thank you again, everyone, very much for joining today's Power Hour, and hope you enjoyed it. And I'll give you about 20 minutes back of your day. Thanks again for your time.